Are you one of the several hundred people who has contacted me this month or last month about a piglet that you got for Christmas? January and February, every year, I am bombarded with messages from people begging for help. They need help with their new piglet, or they need help rehoming their brand new piglet that they just brought home a couple of weeks ago. This is so frustrating to me. First of all, I do not suggest giving someone a piglet as a gift because it's really important to be able to do your own research. It's important to be able to know what you're getting into, to be able to make an educated decision when it comes to getting a pig. A pig is not a pet that lives for a couple years. Potentially, they can live for 15 to 20 years. And that's a long time. Your life or the person who you're buying a piglet for, their life is going to change a lot in the next 15 to 20 years. So it's important to be able to make that decision on your own. Now, if you're a parent and you buy one for your kids, that's a little different because you're going to be able to do the research. You're going to be able to be there. You're going to be able to, when your kids go off to college or your kids are in high school and they have all these activities, you're going to be there to help take care of this pig. So there are circumstances that allow it, but I don't generally like to sell a piglet to somebody who is giving one as a gift to somebody who does not live inside their home. Again, there are circumstances that allow it. For example, if the person had a pig before, or they already have a pig, or, so there are circumstances that allow, but for the most part, people need to make their own decision when it comes to it. The reason that this is frustrating for me is because there are so many pigs in rescues, in sanctuaries, constantly rehomed. I mean, the list on Craigslist just in my area is ridiculous of the amount of people who are trying to find a new home for their pig. Whose responsibility is this? Whose responsibility are these piglets? And the answer is simple. It's the breeder's responsibility. It is their responsibility to support the family. It is their responsibility to take the piglets back and find them a new home, a home that has access to them, a home that they can educate, a home that they can support for the rest of that pig's life. Unfortunately, there are very few ethical, just excellent breeders out there when it comes to mini pigs or pet pigs in general. So for all of those people out there who are wanting a pig, who want to get a piglet, and they're consuming this as a way of educating themselves, first of all, I applaud you. And second of all, learn from other people's mistakes. Look for a breeder or a rescue, whichever you prefer. Look for one that is going to educate you, that is going to support you, that hopefully they even have lots of resources that you can either get for free or purchase. And let me tell you, if you have to purchase them, don't be stingy about that. Just think about it for a second. Who educates people about pigs as pets? There are very, very, very few people who take the time to do that, who have the knowledge to do that. And the only way that they're going to be able to continue doing that, they have to support their families too. And the only way that people like me can do this is if people do buy my resources that I spend hours and weeks and possibly months putting together. This is our full-time job. And when you purchase those things, you are allowing us to continue doing something that we're passionate about, something that we're able to care for our families and love doing. So don't be stingy about that. Allow them to continue making those resources for you and freely pay for them. So what are some of the complaints that I get over the first 2 months of the year after people have a new piglet for a couple weeks? what are their complaints? Number one, the first complaint I always get is biting. My piglet is biting me. How can I stop my piglet from biting me? My piglet is biting my kids. My piglet is biting my dog. All right, so why do piglets bite? Piglets are a lot like human babies in the sense that they put things in their mouth to kind of learn about the world. So they also are very food driven. So when it comes to putting things in their mouth, a lot of times they're tasting them to see if they taste good, to see if they're food. That food drive really is strong in little baby piglets. They also bite because they are afraid, maybe terrified. If you're getting your fingers near this part of their face, this is a blind spot on their cheek, right to the sides of their mouth, and they can't see your hand, and it makes them nervous. So what do? Oh, they're going to bite. They're going to swipe. They're going to try to bite whatever is there because they're trying to protect themselves. Now, how can we fix biting? Biting is really not a difficult thing to fix. The hardest thing to fix is in a person is the way we think about it. So the way we correct a piglet for biting is when they bite us, ow, they bit me. What we do is we take our hand and we wrap it around their snout and we squeeze it shut for a second and we say, no. Okay. So again, for a person, sometimes that's hard to do because we think we're hurting them, but we're not. All we're doing is we're making them close their mouth and keep their mouth shut for a second. The reason that that works is because pigs are prey animals and they don't like to be controlled. So in the wild, if a pig is being controlled, it's probably being eaten or something is trying to eat it. So what does it do? It tries to get away. It does anything it can. It does not like that. So then when we have our piglet, even though they're safe, they don't know that they're safe because this is a new surrounding. These are new people. They may not have been socialized with people at all. So this may be their first interaction with people. And it is very natural in that case for them to want to bite. So we correct them for biting. And sometimes I have people who I tell them this, I have a consultation with them, I talk with them, I tell them they need to do this, they need to grab the piglet's snout, and they come back to me and they say, it doesn't work. That doesn't work. And what I tell them is, you didn't do it hard enough. Remember, piglets and pigs in general, they need motivation. They need a reason not to do something that they naturally are inclined to do or they just want to do. So you have to do it pretty hard on their snout to get them to stop doing that. I had a piglet not too long ago that I was working with on some training, and he bit me really hard. And so what I like to do is I like to match the strength of my snout hold to how hard they bit me. So he bit me so hard, he drew blood. And so then I grabbed his snout with a lot of force, He never bit me again. They need that motivation not to bite. So if you can be consistent and anytime, and I even it gets to a point where I bait my piglets. I feed them Cheerios. Cheerios are small and they're easy. It's easy for them to get my fingers on accident. So I correct them for that. And then what that causes them to do is they still want the food because of that food drive, but they're so careful. They use their lips. They reach with their lips. And if they accidentally get you, they know they did something wrong and they will actually run away from you. Like, oh my gosh, that was an accident. I'm so sorry. Let me get over here where she can't reach me. In those cases, unless it keeps happening, then I let it go. All right. The next reason that people have been contacting me is because a piglet has been rooting on their body, and it's getting to the point where it hurts and it's leaving bruises. So first of all, why do piglets root? They root for a couple different reasons. It is an instinct inside of a pig. Part of a pig means they root. So it's something that they're naturally going to do. And some have that drive more than others, but piglets have a strong drive to root because they root on their mother's belly, and that's what causes her to lay down. That's what causes the milk to flow. And it's a big way for them to let their mom know they're hungry, for them to get food. So they know that if they root on their mom, that they're going to get food. Again, if we bring a piglet into our home, first of all, if our piglet is underaged, that is not good. It is not good to get an underage piglet, to bring an underage piglet home. You are going to have a lot of problems. It is not easy to raise a piglet that should be with its mother. Never, ever, ever buy an underage piglet from somebody because they told you that you would bond better with it. There's only probably less than a 50% chance that that piglet is going to make it. They need a specific environment. They need a specific food. They need specific care. They need all of these things that their mother gives them. We cannot step in and be the perfect parent, so to speak, for a piglet that is underage. Now, once a piglet is to 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks, then they are no longer considered underaged, and they are now, it's safe for them to be away from their mother. So don't buy an underage piglet. But older piglets root too. So they also will, another reason they root is because they root on their siblings. And it's kind of a way that they kind of bond. The piglet that's rooting is getting out energy, and the piglet that's laying on the floor, because it feels like a massage for them. So they lay on the floor, they like pass out, and they are so happy. They love for their siblings, their litter mates, to root on them. It feels good. So again, they're bonding, they're getting that energy out, all kinds of things. Another reason that piglets root is as piglets get older, they root on people as a kind of a bossy behavior. So they're like, oh, you have food, or you're getting food, or I want food. So they root on us, and it gets harder and harder and harder, and it starts to hurt us. But we don't know how to handle it for the most part, right? People don't know what to do. And so the important thing to understand when it comes to a piglet rooting on you is that if you let them root on you while they're young, it's just going to get worse as they get older, because they get stronger. A pig's snout is incredibly strong. It's almost superhuman, super pig. It's unbelievable how strong that snout is. So it only makes sense that as they get bigger, it's going to get harder and harder, and they're going to leave bigger bruises on us. So we need to correct them while they're young. That way, when they get older, then they don't do that. 2 ways that I correct for rooting on my body is, number 1, I correct them as I would for biting. So I grab their snout. Sometimes I might push them away from me. They are very persistent, and so I'm consistent. I do it over and over and over. And then sometimes what I'll do is I'll kind of nudge them away from me, because then that tells them that I don't want them doing that. It's important to remember that a pig has an instinct to root. That is part of being a pig. So what works really well is redirecting them to things that they can root on. We don't want to punish them for being a pig. We don't want to take that instinct away from them. What we want to do is redirect them to where it's okay. So blankets, pillows, stuffed animals, things like this, they are allowed to root on. And so then we redirect them to those places. They come back to us and we redirect. and they come back to us and we redirect, and eventually they do get it. So again, consistency. The third reason why people have been contacting me is because their pig or piglet has been screaming and squealing. Oh boy, this is an annoying habit or trait of a pig. It's a very natural thing for a pig to scream and squeal. I liken it to a baby crying. Babies cry, that's what they do. That's how they get attention. That's how they make their needs known. And so when it comes to a pig, that's how pigs communicate. They scream and squeal. And so what we have to do is we have to not reinforce that behavior, but we need to change that and let them know that they don't get what they want when they squeal. So it's very easy to accidentally reinforce squealing with a pig because it's so stressful and it's so loud and they're so consistent and persistent. Like they don't stop and they know it's annoying. That's the thing. They know that is what gets action. It makes us move faster. It makes us come when they need us. So we need to be very careful that we don't reinforce that behavior. So the key is when your pig is screaming or squealing, we ignore. We don't respond at all. They do not get their meals. They do not get cuddles. They do not get scratches. We do not move out of the way. We do nothing when they're screaming and squealing. When they stop, that's when we want to reinforce that behavior. We want to reinforce the quiet. We want to reinforce the calm. We want to reinforce just the ability to be able to be calm and content on their own. That's something I forgot to put in here, is that a lot of people don't realize that it's important to teach your pig to be alone and content on their own when you bring them home. You don't want to spend every second with them, because for the rest of their life, you're not going to be able to spend every second with them. You might have to go to work. You have to take the kids places. You have to take the kids to school. There are things that you are going to have to do that you can't be with your pig every second. So you need to let them learn that while they're brand new at your home. Spend an hour with them. Leave them for an hour. They're going to learn that they love you, that they want to be with you. They're like, oh, this is the best. I love the cuddles. It's warm. That person, they always scratch me. And this is my favorite person because they feed me, all of these things. So what we need to do is we need to set them up for success, because let me tell you, I work with a lot of people who have needy pigs that literally cannot be alone without having an anxiety attack or being so destructive because they're petrified. Pigs who, when you go in the bathroom to use the restroom or take a shower and you shut the door, they freak out. I've had pigs break doors because they have to get to their people. There's no need for any of that. Teach your pig as soon as you bring them home that they are content on their own. And you do that by spending small bits of time with them and then leaving them alone and letting them figure it out, no matter what they do. Whine, squeal, scream, oink, whatever it is, we don't respond. You can check on them. Don't say a word. You're fine. Now I'm going to walk away. And if you're whining or squealing at meal times, then you have to wait. And I teach all of our piglets quiet. I stand in front of them with their food and I say, quiet. And I stand there as long as it takes all of them to be quiet for about 2 seconds. And then what do? I reinforce that behavior by marking it with a word, good. And I put their food down immediately. And so it only takes about 3 days for them to realize that they only get their food when they're quiet. All of them have to be quiet. That's a tough feat for, 4, 5, 6 piglets, but they learned it in about 3 days. It is amazing. They're amazingly smart, but it only takes them one time of you reinforcing bad behavior for them to learn that they can do it. So if you've already accidentally been reinforcing bad behaviors, then it's going to take a little bit more persistence on your part, consistency, and time. So just keep at it. They will get it. Pigs are smart and they want that food and they want those cuddles. So just stick with it. All right. The fourth reason that people have been contacting me is because of potty issues. So again, this irritates me that breeders don't share this information to set families up for success. So this information is important for you to know. When we bring a piglet home, a new piglet, we cannot give that pig freedom to roam our house at their will. What they need is they need a small area, approximately 4x6, that they can't escape from, right? Those plastic play areas are not going to work. They can get out of those. So they need something that is reinforced, that is inescapable, so that they're safe. And what we do is we put the litter box in there, and we put their bed in there, and we put their bowl in there, maybe a toy. They don't need a ton of stuff. And what we're going to do is we're going to leave them in that area until they're using the litter box and they're not having any accidents. Because remember, even if they are litter box trained, they are used to litter boxes that have been used before. This litter box that you have is new. It has no smell. So although it looks the same, it doesn't smell the same, and pigs know things by their scent. So if they have accidents, just clean it up with a paper towel and wipe it in that litter box. They like to go in the back corners, and that's where you want to put your litter box, is in a corner. And then if they use a different corner, then move the litter box there. They need that litter box to imprint on their brain for several weeks. They need to know, okay, this is where I go potty. You need to be able to trust them that they're not going to have accidents, all of those things. And then what we do is we open up that area, open up their space that they can free roam little bits at a time so that they can learn it. And they have a map in their head of how to get back to that litter box. It sounds like a lot of work, and it is a lot of work, but this is the way that you're going to have a pig that does not have accidents in the house. They will make it to the litter box every time, because remember that a pig's bladder isn't mature until around 8 months old. Their bowels do mature before that, but their bladder needs to be mature before you can give them free roam of your home. They need to be able to hold it and get back to that litter box. So what happens is that, we bring a piglet home and we're like, okay, this is your home, and just enjoy it, right? Then our piglet is going to stick close to its bed for a little while, and then it's going to start adventuring, and it's going to get into the living room, and it's going to be like, how did I get here? Remember, they're very, very low to the ground. Pigs do not have great eyesight, and they get lost easily. They don't know how to ask for directions. So when it comes to pigs, they need time to build that map in their head so that they know how to get back to the litter box whenever they have to go. By doing this, again, you are setting your pig up for success so that they are going to not have accidents, and they may have them. They may. And if they do, then what you do is you take away some of that space. You opened it up too quickly. So take away some of that space so that they can get back to the litter box and then kind of start over, moving forward from there. So these are the top 4 reasons why people have been contacting me since Christmas. Have I missed anything? Is there something that you're dealing with your new piglet and you can't find any information on it? Put it in the comments below. Send me a DM on Instagram or Facebook. Find me, send me an email. My website is autumnacresminipetpigs.com. Let me know, and I will do a video or a podcast or something about it in order to help you and give you the tools so that you can be successful with your pet pig. Pigs are not an easy pet. They are not easy. But if you put the time in and you stick with it and you can be consistent, you will have the best pet you have ever had in your entire life.